guys, what is up? It is Snitchery. How are you doing today? I'm actually kind of nervous about today's video. From the title, it might not be clear why, but for me, this is like very much putting myself out there in a way that I don't normally typically do, so it is a little bit nerve-wracking. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my sketchbooks and some of my art at large and talking about art stuff. I'm really excited to do it, but I'm also really nervous because I've never really shared my art online except on Twitter, where you can follow me at Baby Snitchery a few days ago, but that was really recently, so I'm still a little bit nervous and apprehensive to do it, particularly with a sketchbook, but we're going to be doing it anyway. But before we get into that, I do have two things I want to address. The first thing is that this video is sponsored by my absolute favorite sponsors in the entire world. I always gush. Audible. If you've been on my channel before, welcome back. If you've never been to my channel, feel free to subscribe down below if you ever feel like seeing my face again. Normally, I'm not this colorful. But if this isn't your first rodeo here, then you know that I am obsessed with Audible and have been wholeheartedly obsessed with the company before I ever started YouTube, before I ever started taking on sponsorships or anything like that. Audible was literally one of my favorite platforms ever. If you've never heard of Audible before, it is a platform where you can go and listen to audiobooks. And quite literally, if you can think of a book, they will probably have the audiobook. I've personally never searched for a book and not found it on Audible. It is an incredibly expansive collection of literally every type of story you can imagine. I think last time I was talking about Audible, I was reading Warbreaker. Right now, I'm actually going through the Game of Thrones series. I tried reading A Song of Ice and Fire back when I was in high school, and because I was watching the show at the same time, I kind of dropped off because the show was moving so much more quickly. But recently I've really been missing Game of Thrones and I wanted to immerse myself back into that world, so I've been listening to the stories. They're a little bit too expository, maybe would be the right word. They sort of hit you over the head with these lengthy lyrical descriptions, so for me it's much more pleasant to listen to them than to read them myself. Personally, I've been sitting on my back porch and just listening to Game of Thrones and napping on and off, and it has been a wonderful summer experience. The great thing about audiobooks is that it's on your phone already, so you can take it hiking, or to the beach, or to the pool, or literally anywhere. Read it on the plane. So if you're interested in getting on the Audible train yourself, I would wholeheartedly recommend it. It is a fantastic service that has really brought the love of reading back into my life in an organic way. Luckily, if you're an Amazon Prime member, which I know lots of you probably are because isn't everyone, then you can get Audible for $4.95 a month for the first 3 months. So that's basically like getting 3 months for the price of one. And after that, it's only $14.95 a month. I've been paying for Audible personally myself for 3 years now? 4 years now, I want to say. So that offer ends at the end of July. It's a freaking fantastic deal, so I would hop on it if you're an Amazon Prime member. If you're at all interested, go to audible.com/snitchery or text Snitchery to 500-500. Also, Audible is offering their listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership, so again, you can go to audible.com/snitchery or text Snitchery to 500-500. It's literally that easy. You can start browsing immediately. Check out at least one audiobook. It's free. See if you like it. I bet you'll be hooked just like I was. If you don't know how to spell my username, that is SNITCHERY, Snitchery. And thank you so much to Audible for sponsoring this video as well as generally supporting my channel. It literally means the absolute world to me, and it's a dream. I know you guys are gonna love Audible as much as I do. I know it. The next thing I want to talk about is also so freaking exciting and so cute. I've adopted a little baby, and that little baby is in the form of a bunny. Her name is Evie, so I'm going to show her to you guys right now. If you want an entire video on the process of getting this little sweet baby, how I take care of her, the adoption process, stuff like that, then I'd be more than happy to film that. But for now, I just want to do a little brief introduction because she does live in my filming room, so you'll see her like running around in the background sometimes, and I don't want anyone to be confused that it's like a possum or something. So here's Evie. This is my little baby. She's a little Holland Lop. She's eating right now, so she won't turn around to look at you guys. Hi, baby. She's really cute. Turn around. I do baby talk her, which I know is super annoying. Evie. She's so good. I'll bring you guys a little closer. This is the little baby. She's hunting for more food right now because I started feeding her but didn't finish. She's an absolute sweetie. She's so cute. Soon, like I said, if you guys want, I can make an entire video about her. She's so tiny and so precious. She's such a sweet girl. So that's been taking up a lot of my time, and the reason that I've been a bit absent on Instagram lately. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's where I'm still the most active by far, my primary social media platform. My username there is also just Snitchery if you want to follow me. I'll put that, all that stuff, all the social media stuff in the description. And now on to the point of this video, which again, I'm kind of nervous about. So as many of you guys know, I do makeup. I don't do makeup on other people, but it's sort of my primary industry in that I'm a social media influencer, color, but typically focus on beauty. The reason I got into makeup in the first place is because when I was younger, like elementary school, middle school, and high school even, I was really interested in art, and I really liked art, like painting and drawing and fine arts and stuff like that. It's the reason why I ended up majoring in art history in college. I love art. That said, I was never good enough to be an actual, like, practicing artist, so I decided to major in art history instead with a focus on museum curation, and I actually ended up falling head over heels in love with it. That said, when I was in college, I got super busy, so I stopped doing art altogether. I stopped going in sketchbooks, I stopped, working on canvases, I really stopped everything except makeup artistry. So that's sort of, what took on, I don't know what metaphor I'm going for here, but it carried on my interest in art in a different form. And I love doing makeup. It's an incredibly fun hobby for me, but that said, I really miss doing art. So 2 weeks ago, I decided to go to Michael's and get myself a new sketchbook and some new pens, and I started doing art again for the first time in about 4 years. Of course, I was still doing my makeup thing, and I still, doodled occasionally on, edges of napkins and stuff, but I hadn't had a sketchbook or proper art supplies or anything like that since I started college 4 years ago, which is just absolute lunacy, and it felt really good to do art again, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Today I'm going to be going through the art that I've done in the past 2 weeks. Again, I haven't done art in 4 years, so a lot of it is not so great, but I still think it would be cool to show you guys, and some of it turned out, pretty alright. So without further ado, my sketchbook. So this is the first thing I put in my new sketchbook, literally the minute I got home. My favorite medium used to be watercolors, so I thought it might be my favorite medium again. It was not. This is the second thing I did. This was just sort of getting used to pens again. Again, you'll see the anatomy of what I draw changes quite a bit. This is just sort of a cartoonish character, and I was originally going to be doing these little cartoons in Zodiac, so this was going to be Capricorn, but I didn't end up doing that. This is a bunny. This is actually my brother's bunny. He ended up getting one as well. This was just like a little 5-minute sketch. Here's again another one of those weird little cartoony drawings. This is a cat. I was watching The Cat Returns. In here you can see these markers. These are, I think they're called chameleon markers. I never really got the hang of them. I didn't love them, but I did decide to try them out on this little cat. And then here again, I was just practicing with the markers. So there are lots of these little, tiny girl creatures, because I was just playing around with the colors. Again, I was doing zodiacs. I never planned on showing anyone these zodiac things. They weren't really for public consumption, but it did help me with color arrangements and stuff like that. Another one of these little cartoon creatures here. There are lots of these, like I said, little colorful girl people. Here again, I was just practicing with the markers. They're interesting because they don't really overlap, which I enjoyed, and they react weirdly with this paper where they get sort of a speckled effect, so I didn't mind that either. Here's a little turtle I drew. I do a lot of stuff with this little space imagery. I wouldn't even call it imagery. It's sort of cartoony, but you'll see a lot of that in later stuff as well. Here again is a bunny. Like I said, I really like drawing bunnies. Here are some little bugs I ended up drawing. I realized I couldn't really draw bugs all that well, so I turned them into weird hybrid bugs. This again is sort of that cartoony style that I started off doing. This is, I think, no, just kidding, we have a few more pages. Here, I did a big sister and a little sister for a few pages. Here's another one. And this is when I decided that I actually really just preferred pens. Here's a couple more just little sketchy type things. I realized I was really bad at drawing hands, so I think I started, on this page, I started doing hands just as references because I realized I was not so good at drawing them. This page took me the longest time. Hands are really difficult to draw for me, and I think for everyone. And then here on this page, I'm actually going to be putting the finished product up in the corner because this is when I started coloring on Photoshop. I taught myself how to do it in a night. So all these drawings that I'm about to show you, or most of them, some of them, have Photoshop completed, colored in versions, but these are just the drawings. This girl has a Photoshop version as well. I don't know how out of focus these are. The angle's kind of weird. Here's another one of these because I was going to put them all on one sheet and I needed one more to make it symmetrical, but I ended up not doing anything with them. Here's another one that I colored in Photoshop, and you can see in the Photoshop versions, I changed her mouth. I changed some things when I put them on Photoshop that I ended up not loving as much. Here again, you can see that space imagery. that I really like. I superimposed it into pretty much everything. You'll be seeing it a lot once I get into like my larger pieces. Larger, quote unquote. Here's a little flower boy, and you'll see once I started doing things on Photoshop, I did a thing where I kind of did two versions of what I was going to color. So I didn't know if I wanted his eyes to be closed or open, so I put a closed eye and an open eye. I ended up going with open, I think. And that's, I think, all I have in this sketchbook. Like I said, I barely got it 2 weeks ago, but I did decide to move on to a larger sketchbook for some larger things, so I'll show you those now as well. So this is the first thing I drew in my larger sketchbook. It is girls playing on a snake. Sort of pan over it so you guys can see it a little bit better. I don't really know how to put the angle of the camera. A lot of people ended up liking this girl a lot. And then this girl's face I didn't like, so I ended up just doing it on Photoshop. And again, I'll show, you know, the completed version of what it looked like colored in. But this is when I started doing things that were a bit bigger than I could do on that tiny little sketchbook. So here again, you can see I changed a lot of things on the colored version. I liked this when I originally did it, but ended up really disliking her face. So there's nothing I can really do about that now, but I do like how the rest of the composition turned out. I think I ended up changing her mouth and her eyes quite a bit. You can probably see I do this thing a lot where I don't like to just drag things off the page, so I do like to finish it. So it sort of looks like a bust, like a statue bust or something. I don't know. This is Buttercup. I actually ended up taking away her hand in the Photoshop version. Blossom was always my favorite Powerpuff Girl, but I think I turned out more like Buttercup. Here I was just doing a quick little sketch of like a reference of someone looking up. Interestingly, my art style is either really, really cartoonish or hyper realistic, and I haven't had the energy to do something that realistic in a while. I don't know why that's folded down. Maybe I was going to go back to it. This is a funny page because you can see how I start all my bigger pieces. Like, you see these stick figures. This is eventually going to be mushrooms and two girls and a wolf. But you can see how I started. It's a little ridiculous. Here's a fox. Again, you can see that space imagery that I ended up superimposing onto its little foxy self. I really like stuff like that. Third eyes as well, I'm really into. Here's Princess Mononoke and a wolf. I ended up coloring this in Photoshop in 2 different color palettes, and I hated both of them. But I do like how the sketch turned out, particularly the wolf, I think looks pretty cool. I don't have many pages like this. Typically when I start something, I end up finishing it. But these are just like little, I guess, sketchy things, like quick 1-minute sketches of later things that I could put in. And I think that's it. So that's everything I've drawn in the past 2 weeks, a little under 2 weeks. I'm really excited to keep drawing because, as I'm sure you guys can see as well, even in the past 2 weeks, I think I've gotten back maybe 2% of the talent I used to have for drawing, but I'm excited to see where this journey takes me. If any of you guys have any questions, or if any of you would be interested in prints, I know a lot of people on Twitter mentioned that they really liked prints of the snake girl in particular, the snake girls, and the wolf. I could maybe figure that out. I don't know if anyone would have any interest. But far more importantly than that, it means the world that you even lasted this long in this video. It would also mean the world if you gave this video a thumbs up. It helps me more than you will ever know. And thank you for being my friend today and always, and for bearing through me on this nerve-wracking video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah! Bye guys! From me and from Evie.